What's going on, everybody? I'm Kevin from Cigar Prop. It is another Tech Tip Sunday. I'm outside just getting ready to check Jessica's oil in her vehicle. She burns a little bit of oil, so I just gotta make sure I keep up on it. If you got an older car, it's not what this Tech Tip's about, but make sure you're checking the oil on occasion. The oil is the lifeblood of the vehicle. So many times in the shop we see people come in with so many different issues: check engine lights on, drivability, making noise, and it all comes down to oil. And then the customer 9 times out of 10, oh yeah, I know it burns a little bit of oil. Oh, my beard is stuck on my microphone. And I just forgot to check it. All right, well, now you need an engine. You happy? Is that what you wanted? So yeah, there's no excuse for that. But what I wanted to talk about was we had a customer come in yesterday. And, well, actually, yesterday was Saturday, so it'd been Friday. And he got a quote from another a repair shop for a couple of wheel bearings in his little, I don't know, like that Transit Connect thing. The Nissan, the NB, whatever, the NB. So, we look at the, or I look at them like, it's kind of weird. You need both bearings. Bearings aren't something that is a high failure rate item on a car, and for you to have both of them fail, that's kind of weird. And the guy said, well, only one of them failed, but they told me that I should replace both of them, because they were both built at the same time and put in at the same time, and I should have them done. And I'm like, this same old shit again of let's just replace components in pairs because they were put in pairs. I see the same thing on headlights and bulbs. Hey, that headlight, headlights now can be a couple $100 for a headlight bulb not installed. But oh, hey, while we're in there, let's just replace both headlights. They were put in at the same time. I'm not in on that. The only exception is if I'm removing the bumper and a lot of stuff, because that's what you got to do sometimes on these cars. And I'll tell the customer, I'm like, hey, I'm removing the bumper. It's a couple $100 to replace this one bulb for like an additional whatever that would be to just remove the other assembly to get to that bulb. Let's replace the other one because God forbid, a year from now, the other bulb fails and I got to remove the bumper again. You got to pay all that money. So I told them, like, let's get up in the air and take a look at it. So get up in there, spinning the wheels. I would test drive it first. I can hear the bearing. So get up and spin the wheels, find it's just one bearing, and they're about $600 a piece installed. And there's no labor differential, if we're doing 2, so it's times 2. Sometimes like that bumper, it'll be a labor difference because I already got the bumper off. So it's not gonna be times 2 for that bulb. So I told the customer, I go, it's the dumbest thing ever. I hear it all the time. There are things that you do replace in pairs. Generally, when your wiper blades wear out, you replace them in pairs. If you replace your wiper blades and a month later, like one wiper blade tears off, that's premature, failure. That's a one-off thing. You're not going to put 2 new wiper blades on. You're going to put the one on because it prematurely failed. If it's a year from now and it failed, you replace them in pairs. That same day, we did rear brakes on a vehicle, wheel cylinders. That's a different situation. I explained to the customer, you've got one wheel cylinder that's leaking. In my experience, I have seen, and also the manufacturer does recommend always replacing brake components in pairs. But I've seen where we replace one, we've got one brand new cylinder, the other one's a little weak because generally it's just one line that comes in and splits and goes off. So now this one can hold so much more pressure. The other one ends up blowing and leaking. So we always give them the option. The manufacturer recommends you replace those in pairs. I recommend replace those in pairs because after all of these years, I have seen a high failure rate when you only replace one. It's up to you. I just want to let you know, like right now, when we got all of the brakes tore apart, it's this. If it fails next week, and as long as you don't damage the shoes, because when brake fluid gets on brake shoes, or it could be a month from now, it doesn't have to be a week, we can clean everything up. but right now it was like $80. I go, it's gonna be like $300. I got to start all over, you know, and that's what the labor rate is. And that's if it doesn't leak slowly and then gets all over your shoes. Now you're paying to have your whole brake job done again. I go, so those are situations where replacing in pairs actually makes sense. Replacing a $600 bearing in pairs does not make sense at all. So this tech tip might be confusing because, like Kevin, you just said, you know, you shouldn't replace those in pairs, but then you gave some examples of things that you have to replace in pairs. And that's where it comes down to getting a second opinion on a lot of things that are expensive. You should be getting second opinions all the time, because hopefully you'll come into a shop like mine and meet a gentleman like myself that will tell you, yeah, you really don't have to replace that in pairs. Valve covers, you know, when they leak, you know, Hyundais are the big one. Hyundai alternators sit up front, you know, front valve cover starts leaking, or both valve covers leaking. And in those situations, because those are expensive jobs, especially on the D6s, I'll let the customer know, hey, you got both valve cover gaskets leaking. That front one is raining oil on your alternator. It's gonna be a $900 alternator when that goes bad. Now, to replace those valve cover gaskets, it's like $800. It's a lot of labor to rip that engine apart on some of those Hyundais. Or for like $180, I can just replace that front valve cover gasket. You should replace both of them because they're both leaking, but that back one isn't leaking onto, you know, an expensive component like an alternator. So you can always save up, do that other one later. So we give them those options as well. So there are things on your car that should be done in pairs. Other things on your car that it doesn't make financial sense, and it doesn't make common sense sometimes to replace things in pairs. But that's the first thing you should be asking, like when someone sells you something. And I guess the way. So here's how you know if you're just being taken advantage of. It's when they say they were put on at the same time, and that's the only reason that you are given. Oh, why would I replace both of them if only one has failed? Well, they were put on the car at the same time, so the other one's probably going to fail. That's when you should run. If they give you a detailed explanation, like I have, of why you should replace that other component at the same time, yeah, you should probably replace that component. If the person, like I said, 1,000 times we've said that, maybe 50, 30, I don't know. I haven't done a whole lot of these, but I've done a lot of these. It's this thing down here. Trust your gut. Your gut's never going to lie to you. Never. If you get that, I don't know. You know, trust your gut. Go get a second opinion. So that's all we got. Hopefully this has been useful. It is a rainy, miserable day out today. So that means one thing. I get an early nap. I don't have to work outside. I do have some surfboards to paint for my daughter. That's a baby shower thing. But yeah, it's going to be an early nap. Don't you love it, like when you get up early in the morning? Because it's like 8 o'clock in the morning right now. And it's like, fuck yeah, I'm going to get me a nap. I'm going to nap hard today. So I don't even know where we went with this. All right, cats and kittens. Peace.